Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gaming with me, Tony Mo. We're back here with some more Grid Autosport. Back here in our hardcore career. We're on to Season 3. We're still in open wheel here. Still running the Class C Formula 3000 cars. Sadly, I started the Season 3, so we finished our first season in open wheel. And then I went on to do a little bit of drifting to switch things up, which you guys are going to see later. And then I came back, and our first race, first place finish, boom. Mint. Sat down to record this, get to our first race of this season after qualifying in practice and did so well, and I had to quit out because I changed my settings for the game, and the game doesn't recognize that, hey, I just want to go back to the beginning of that, and then all I want to do is switch my settings back to what they were. So there's lots of little things with this game that drive me crazy when it comes to the way it backs out of things and the ability to change your difficulty. It's all a mess there, but whatever, we're in 4th place. Let's see if we can't get these next 2 races and, yeah, get some solid first place finishes and take the crown overall, take the podium. So let's go on to practice. Brand new track. Let's learn the layout here. I'm just gonna do a nice quiet first lap, get an idea of the track. Note to self, that is a hard right-hander. Alright, so this track's going to take a little bit of practice here to get the hang of this. This is actually a really aggressive track in terms of its layout. There's a lot of blind corners. We have a lot of crests going into really hard turns. We're going to have to create those landmarks that I'm always talking about. So I guess the next couple laps, let's talk a little bit of race strategy here. You know, my personal strategy for building confidence on a new track and, you know, how to understand it. And again, I mentioned this in the past video, the big thing is landmarks. You know, landmarks, making use of your braking markers on these corners, that when you see them, you know, those are a good indicator of, hey, we have a corner. You know, let's find that landmark and figure out where we want to turn in. And of course, the biggest part of racing is taking corners. So with that comes finding your entrance and then also choosing your exit as you're going through the corner, all, you know, in one quick thought. So let's blast down this straightaway, and then we know we have this. It's not really a hard right-hander, so we're gonna have to try and find our speed here, because we can use a lot more of the track there. And we can dive up this way. Now this is probably one of the most difficult corners in the track. It's extremely blind. We do have quite a bit of room to come out on it though if we hit it a little bit fast, but the last thing we want to do is come over that crest, lose traction because we've caught air with the car, and then come down hard and have to try and transition into a turn with no grip. So that's really my big thing in practice, is just focusing on finding the corners and starting to get that muscle memory built up for where everything is, when I should be turning in, and, you know, knowing where the corners are without actually being able to see them. You just have to know them. It has to be like when you pull out of your driveway every single day to go to work, that you could probably just drive that route to work, you know, if you've done it enough times without actually even thinking about where you have to go and when you have to turn. It's all just muscle memory at that point. So as great as it is in practice to have the feedback of, you know, okay, I'm doing well, I'm putting in fast lap times, The focus really is on understanding where the track is. You have that 10-minute timer when you're running the standard, career like this. So build up the speed, build up the confidence, because you're not doing yourself any good by going off the track. That's not helping you understand. You might learn a limit there if you're lucky, but really you want to build up to that limit without spinning out, without going off the track. It's going to help you keep that overall focus. That's one of those corners too, over time you're just going to get quicker on it, whether it be in qualifying or during the race. It's a corner that just has you need that confidence, you need to know what that top speed is. A lot of corners like that, those long sweeping corners as well, you're going to come in really hot, let off the throttle, maybe coast it a little bit, let the car just make its way through, and then get back on the throttle afterwards rather than accelerating all the way through that corner. Of course, everybody's strategy may differ. This is just my personal strategy, and it seems to do me pretty well. I've pretty good times here in open wheel. It's something I really enjoy, the open wheel cars. I don't know why. I've always had a pretty big addiction for things like this in Formula 1. This whole section of the course right here, I need to get a better line coming in here because I'm losing a lot of time not using all of the track. That is one of the biggest things when you start talking about racing in any space, whether it be cars, motorcycles, off-road, on-road. Using as much of the track as possible is what makes you faster. It's that consistency, of course. Oh, whoa, dude. Raven West just come out of here and smash into me. Wasn't expecting that. But yeah, we talk about consistency, but the other thing is using all of the track. You're only going to reach the highest possible speeds on the corners and on the straights, and you're only going to put in those quickest last times when you're using all of the track. You're picking your entrance, clipping that apex, and then using all of the track on the exit, staying on maximum throttle. See, that's a pretty good line we have through there. That puts us on the inside of this. Allows us to really clip this corner coming on the inside here. Gonna shift down for the uphill. See, we turned in a little bit too late there. Almost lost it. The big thing, too, when you start talking about you're coming up a hill like that, at that speed, the car is going light, and you have to be able to compensate for that. So there's a bigger chance of you being able to, this just turned into a terrible lap. There's a bigger chance of you being able to lose the grip on the car because the car has gone light. It's actually, you've caught a little bit of air. It's just what happens, especially in a Formula 3000 car. I mean, you have downforce, but not enough to prevent a spin out on a big climb like that. So let's see what we can do now. I'm going to sit into some focus and see how we can finish out this lap.
Good improvement on that sector. Nearly got it nailed.
Alright, let's go ahead and put in our last lap here for practice, see what we can do for a good time. Or we can do exactly what I was talking about with the car going light. That's a big crest. You're coming over that at close to top speed. I believe I was in 5th gear there, so you have to really be careful. Of course, one of the other big things I guess I should mention when I start talking about race strategy is, when you're running gears, because we are talking about hardcore here, we are running manual sequential. That is a big part of practice. It's something that comes a little bit more naturally than everything else, in my opinion. Sorry, dude. Keep forgetting how fast I can come through here. you know, is knowing the gears and figuring out where you have to be and making sure you're not in the wrong gear when you do hit that uphill coming on this turn over here. You know, because when you're in that wrong gear, that's speed. That's speed that you're losing. And when you have the AI on very hard, you need all of the time that you can get. You need all of the speed. You need to be running the car as fast and as hard as you can. So right here, you know, we're going to want to downshift as soon as we hit this uphill. Make sure you're in the right gear. Just do breathing down our neck here. So that's going to be the end of our practice. That wasn't the best time that we were able to put in, sadly, but what are you going to do? Let's go ahead and head into qualifying and see what kind of a time we can put out. I'm feeling decently confident. This is actually a really aggressive track for me. I will admit there's just something about it that intimidates me. I'm also going to consider looking at what we're running on our setup here. I like the suspension where it is. I like stiff suspension. This isn't a really bumpy track. It's just going to help us pretty much all the way. I think we're going to kick the brake bias. I don't do too much braking in the corners usually with these cars in general, or with any of the cars in racing. Usually the slower cars, that's something that's more common for. You're driving in whatever, a coupe like a BMW or the hot hatches. You do spend a lot of time braking in the corner. But with something like these, the braking is usually done before you hit that apex, and then you're usually through the apex, either on the throttle, off the throttle, or preparing to get on the throttle. Again, at least that's my strategy. Now, in terms of the gear ratios, I like them where they were, but I think we are actually going to kick them up a notch. I felt like they were a little bit too short. We needed a little bit more leg room coming down those long straights. That's going to help us with a nice bit of speed overall. So let's go ahead and head into the qualifier. We got 3 laps, no restarts. See what kind of times we can put in. Remember that crest right there, you know, we got to be careful. We got a lot of speed carrying through that crest. The last thing we want to do is go ahead and pull too tight of a turn that was not needed and throw the car's back end out and lose control, especially in qualifying. This is where you really want to push it if you want to get that pole position, but at the same time, you have to be careful. You only have 3 laps. You make a mistake second, third, end of third lap, and you still haven't got that best time in, then that's going to be game over for you. We got to focus a little bit more on this section here. We can go much, much quicker through there. Almost no need for braking. This is an important part of the track. Let's make sure we get the best possible time through here. And shift down just 1 gear, let the car coast, throw it into the corner. Same thing with this one, downshift, throw it in the corner, get back on the throttle, hit the hill climb, downshift again, come out. We went a little bit wide, it's okay though, it's actually going to help us a little bit there. Back on the throttle through this right-hander, and we got a nice tight right-hander coming up here. This is another very important corner. We don't want to slide off, we want to keep grip. Use as much of the track as possible, back on the throttle. Caught a couple of the cones there, but hey, it is what it is. Push back along the finish. Do a little status check on the car, because I don't know why. Again, trying to use as much of the track as possible. Sometimes you don't get that perfect racing line. Something happens, you brake too late, you end up carrying too much speed, and you get thrown off a little bit. That's fine. The big thing is just to continue to use as much of the track as possible to try and keep that speed up after whatever mistake that you've made. If the track is there, if you have more of the track and you can use it in an efficient manner without, you know, slowing yourself down, it's not always the best idea to use all the track. There are moments when you're going to be putting yourself at a disadvantage, but I think people sort of understand just from watching, you know, what I mean by using all of the track on these corners to get the most out of the car. Again, being very weary of that crest. We don't want to lose traction. Car's going light for a moment there. A little bit of a slide. That was a pretty good corner, though. Let's get back on the throttle. Probably could have been down one more gear. We lost ourselves a bit of acceleration there.
Come on, last lap. All or nothing.
Let's push it. I'm going for it. There's that speed we were looking through for, coming through that section. Don't lose control of the back end. We got a little bit of a slide there, really pushing it on that corner. Seventh overall, not a bad time, but there's a lot to be made up in a lot of these corners and a lot of the sections of this course where we need to be going faster. Take a look, we're about almost 3 seconds down, 2 seconds down, I guess you could say, from the #1 place. We got Aaron Wesley over there, Raven West. So we're going to have to push in the race. The great thing about the race is the race isn't qualifying. It's not time attack. There are other cars on the track. There's a lot more strategy that comes into play other than just being fast. Of course, once you get out in the front, you got to keep race pace and you got to stay in the lead because you don't want to have to deal with letting someone take an overtaking. But we're going to have to fight our way up. And we have to make up for that terrible disconnect that we had, that restart we had to run in the game. Of course, big thing about the start of any race is not crashing. There's going to be a lot of cars making contact like that. And we're being pitted by the AI, and things haven't gone well.
You've got damage to your steering column.
Of course we do. Now the AI in this game, I have to admit, I've come to not like it at all. I think it's absolutely mediocre at best. Probably because I've played Forza, which uses a thing called Drivatar, which is probably some of the best AI design. It's not actually AI, it's data from other players to create AI opponents, and it's probably some of the most intelligent AI. Again, it's not actually AI. It's some of the most intelligent computer-controlled components that you can face off against. It feels very natural, and the difficulty level also translates very well, whereas this game, very hard is great, but it also equals to really aggressive AI that smashed the crap out of your car for no reason. Understandably, I slid sideways and got bumped, but the thing was, after that, I was continuously slammed into the corner, so what we're actually going to do is restart the race because we have that benefit. I'm not going to race the entire race with the damaged steering column, because that's not fun.
You're in position 7.
And that's what I'm here to do, to have fun. Of course we do. I should have known that was happening. I should have went on the inside more, but the car feels alright. It doesn't feel like it's really heavy damage, but probably we've lost a little bit of control there in terms of our steering, but I think we can make this work. Let's push on this. Make it a bit more of an underdog story. The big thing you have to remember with the AI too is when you're on your quickest time, you know, when you're on your best pace and you're seriously pushing it, the AI is always going to be in the way if they're ahead of you. They always run slower, especially if you're in the back of the pack. That's why these guys are back here, because their lap times are terrible. They're slow. The car's pulling to the left just a tad. We'll sort that out with a little power on the throttle though, and some counter steering, and we should be all right. Try and pass the monster car here.
On to lap 2. You're keeping up with the pace.
We got 4 more laps after this one. Good pace. Lap 3 now. Take some positions. No new damage to report. You're in position 7. Just get round them. Take the place. You've got 4 laps. Well, you heard him, guys. We got 4 laps. Position 7. Let's see if we can't make a bit of a climb here.
Okay, Ace. You've just gone past the halfway stage of the race.
It's another one down. See if we can't work our way up. We got a lot of time to make up, if I'm honest. A lot. Oh, took that one way too wide. Turned in way too late. Oh, that's a big spin for us. And I think we just lost all hope of fighting our way up the front of the pack. Let's get back on track.
You've damaged your gearbox.
Say the car feels a little bit more rough.
You're mid-pack. You're in position 9. 5 seconds to the car ahead. And you were 9 seconds slower through the last sector. 2 laps to go.
Alright, let's not give up, but This has not turned into a good race. That first place finish in the standings just meant absolutely nothing at this point. Sorry. Oh, there goes the flat tire. Yeah. Yep, we lost our rear tire. Can't look back at it, but it's gone.
You're in position 16. You're within 15 seconds to the car ahead, and you are 9 seconds slower through the last sector. You've got radiator damage. No new damage to report.
That's it? I'm missing a tire.
No new damage to report.
It's telling me about radiator damage. The whole back left tire is gone. I can feel it. It's gone. The car is sagging. Oh, there goes the tire. I guess it was just flat. Now it's gone. That's metal. That's another tire. Let's say that our race is effectively over. Now this is an issue I have with the game. When a car is in this bad of shape, you should pretty much just do a disconnect on the race for them. There's no point letting someone race like this. You wouldn't be allowed to. It'd be completely illegal and dangerous for everyone else on the track, and your car would be considered disabled. It's the end of the story, you know? That would be it. Your tire's blown out, your radiator's busted, you're leaking coolant all over the track. This guy's happy as clams. I don't know how, because his girlfriend here looks like she's a demon or something. It's terrifying. So let's just go ahead and quit the race ourselves, I guess, because there's no honorable way of the game just saying, hey, you screwed up. That's going to do it for this, guys. We'll come back and we'll finish out Season 3 of our open wheel career here in the next episode. I'll see you guys in the next one.